Hey, board gamers. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another season 3 of Gumbo Live, the #1 Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board gaming. That's right, it's season 3. We completed 1 and 2 this past spring, and we took a little break for convention season, but now we're back. Gumbo Live, the #1 Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board gaming. Gumbo Live is a proud member of Punchboard Media. Hey, check out other fine members like Jake and Danielle from the Draft Mechanic podcast. They've got an amazing podcast all about the intersection of beer and board games. They review games, they review beers, they do it all. Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. We don't have a special guest tonight. Instead, it's a season 3 preview. We're going to be talking about different games, different conventions, talking about the guests that we're going to have this season. Hit me up on social media if you have any questions. Twitter, @BoardGameGumbo, or on Facebook, facebook.com/Board Game Gumbo, and I'll be looking for your questions in the chat. What are the topics we're going to talk about tonight? This is going to be a quick show. We're going to talk about the highlights for season 3, a little preview as to what you can expect over the next couple of months. Talk about some of the guests. We'll also do a quick little Gen Con recap and some news that we learned while we were out there. Of course, talk about the con travels and about our favorite board game fest that is coming up in March. So let's talk about the first thing, season 3 preview. What do we have coming up for this season? I'm gonna click on my little chart right here. Man, we have got some guests lined up. Look, you know that we've had some pretty big guests over the last 2 seasons, and we're trying to step that up each season to try to get as many as we can, trying to get some new faces in, but also, bring back some of your old favorites. So speaking of old favorites, one of the most requested guests, one of the 2 or 3 most requested guests each season is our buddy Chris Ray from the Opinionated Gamers. I actually got to meet Chris at Gen Con this year personally. We've talked by Twitter, we've talked by email, and he's been on the show a couple of times. He's always one of the favorite guests afterwards. People always want to know, when are you bringing Chris back on? We're bringing him on next week, August 21st, on Tuesday at 8:30 Central. Right here on Facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo. We're gonna do our post Gen Con spectacular, and also maybe even talk a little bit Essen. I mean, it's not too early to talk about Essen in October. Essen Spiel, of course, the big convention over in Germany. But really, I want to hear. I saw Chris right when the convention started. I mean, the booth hadn't even opened up yet. I never actually saw him again until the end. So I'd like to see what Chris has to say about the games that he saw. So, hey, look, we got Chris Strain coming in. I actually got to see Chris Strain, too. Oh, we were crossing each other in the hallway. We got to visit for a couple of minutes. What's up, Chris? Good to hear from you there, man. It was nice actually catching you. And there's Jay checking in, Jay Peak. If you got to see the stuff he does on his channel, man. Make sure you check it out. He does the crazy stuff with board games. He says, hey, I finally catch one of these live. Haven't been able to lately. Jay, all summer we took the summer off. You haven't missed much. We'll be starting next week with Chris Ray. Chris Ray from the Opinionated Gamers is coming in. We're going to do our big Gen Con spectacular next week with Chris. So if you've got any questions about Gen Con or even about Essen Spiel, make sure you hit us up next week. So, Chris Strain, who was your favorite person to demo a game to a Gen Con? Well, Chris, of course. You know the answer to that one. But I will tell you, we had a lot of good demos all week. I was demoing for Gray Fox Games. My buddy Alex Goldsmith from the Dukes of Dice, who is now the chief noisemaker over there at Gray Fox Games. I should remember that because he said it so many times. But he introduced me to the whole Gray Fox Games team. I got to meet the owner, got to meet Josh, the main developer, a lot of the longtime volunteers, Matt and Jeremy. Great group of guys, great group of demo team. I mean, the demo team was fantastic, and we had a blast all week. So I don't know if I have a favorite moment, although I will tell you a quick story, Chris. Favorite moment of Gen Con demoing was my buddy Carlos from the Gumbo crew, who moved up to Iowa. We don't see him very much anymore. I was demoing Run, Fight, or Die, and I don't know, we just got this crazy thing where it was just one-on-one, and I decided to push as many zombies onto his board as I could, in effect just trying to kill him off without worrying about winning, but really more just trying to kill him off and surviving. And man, we had a blast. We laughed so hard. My strategy didn't work, but it was still a pretty blast. Hey, so there's David Miller from Big Sinlaw Group. That's him and Marshall checking in. Wish I could be there with you guys Saturday. I've got some family stuff to do. The Sinlaw group, if you happen to be in Central Louisiana, you got to check these guys out. They have an awesome group. They play on one of the Saturdays of the month. I guess it's the second Saturday of the month. And they have a giant library of games, always stuff that's brand new and also a lot of classics. Hey, Chris, while you're out there, don't forget, you got to come back on the show. Just pop in as maybe as a quick guest, because I know you've got some things cooking over there with some of your games. So I want to see about that. So what am I most excited about in season 3? I'll tell you, Jay. And thank you for checking in, Jay. So we got some guests next week. Chris Ray coming in. The week after that, I've got somebody I've been following on BGG for a long time. You know her as Steph Hodges. She's working for BGG now, and she is going to be coming on. You've seen her board game photography on BGG. You've probably read her blog, and if you haven't, you ought to check it out. All the Meeples of the Rainbow blog. It's an awesome blog. Can't wait for Steph to come in on August 28th. We've got a bunch of other people, but filling out the first 3 or 4 shows. I've got Jesse and Melissa and maybe even Ronald from I Heart Board Games. If you haven't seen I Heart Board Games or I Love Board Games, they do. They did one last night. They did Nyctophobia. They do live playthroughs and streaming of board games. They're also the cast from and director from Must Love Board Games. So those guys are from Baton Rouge, right down the road. When I'm at a con, I always try to hook up with them and play games because they are a blast. Hey, there's Steve O'Rourke, the name father, checking in. Hello, all. Looking forward to season 3. Me too, Steve. I'm looking forward to some of these guests because we got some new chances to try to play the Envy game with some of these people. So a couple of other big people coming in. I'm saving us. Oh, Jake and Danielle from Draft Mechanic are coming in. I have confirmed that for September, so that's going to be fun. They have not been on the show yet. If you know the very prolific guy, who, by the way, got started on the show, Jeremy Howard, Jambalaya Plays Games, now does his own live stuff. Jeremy is going to be coming in September. But some big news. I don't want to say who it is yet, but if you look behind me, I've got this cool poster that I got signed by Isaac at Gen Con, Return to Dark Tower. I don't want to say which guest it's going to be. I'll just say that it has something to do with Dark Tower. That's my 1%. I've got the whole season lined up, still waiting to confirm that one last guest, but you can probably guess who it is. Welcome to Dark Tower, by the way, at Gen Con. I'm at the Dice Tower, the big show, the live show, and they're talking about Dark Tower. Now, look, that's been a very, very, not very secret that Restoration Games is going to redo that crazy game from the 80s, the Dark Tower. I played it with my buddy Brian all the time. It was fantastic, but we literally broke it. I mean, it was fantastic for the time. Maybe today it wouldn't be so much fun. We're used to electronics now, and we're not so much in a roll and move and luck. But to see Restoration Games bringing it back out, that was not the surprise. The big surprise is who's designing it. It's not just Rob and Justin and JR over there. They're bringing in Isaac from Gloomhaven. Isaac Childress, the designer of Gloomhaven, is going to be involved in that Dark Tower project. And that makes me excited. I loved Gloomhaven, and I can't wait to see what is going to be happening. Hey, there's Dave Dugas checking in. That's right. Dave says he might even do some appearances this season. Dave, you want to come in tonight? I'll send you the link, and we can talk about some of the games. I know you want to talk about Root, so you just let me know, and I'll post it for anybody to come in. Let me see if I can do that. Oh, shoot, it's not going to work that way. Let me see if I can grab that link, because I do not mind. If anybody wants to talk games, I'm ready to do that. Let's see, copy link right there. Put this here, and if you want to come on the show, click on that link, and you can get in there. So Steve says, we broke our Dark Tower 2, wore it out. That's exactly right. Man, we played it all the time. So if you copy that link, anybody wants to jump in on the show and tell me about what you saw at Gen Con, or maybe you did Gen Cant, and you wanted to talk about some of the stuff you did for Gen Cant, you're welcome to come on the show tonight. This is kind of a free form thing. Yeah, I'd love to have Dave Dugas on to talk about his time with that game that we love, that I brought back from Root and its expansion. I think the Gumbo crew has played it twice, and we're really getting into it. So, yeah, Steve, excited about Dark Tower. We wore it out. Same thing with us. I want to see what they're doing. I heard some crazy things. Rob and Isaac were talking about how they were going to try to incorporate cell phone technology into it. They were even thinking maybe a tower and put the cell phone inside, and so the app would become the tower. They weren't sure if it was going to work or what would happen if somebody needs to make a phone call or anything like that. I don't know how they worked it out, but there were some whisperings and some talk all convention about how they're going to do it once we found out that Isaac was involved. So I am looking forward to that. So a couple of the highlights. We'll see if that special guest can come in November. I have Alex Goldsmith coming back in. He'll be coming in October for our annual Halloween special with Alex. Jason Dinger's got some big news. If you haven't seen this on BGG, Jason, our friend who came in season 1 and season 2, Jason's got a game, Captains of the Gulf, signed with Uli at Spielworks. It's coming out at Essen in October. And Jason's got artwork now. He's got some more information. So by the time he comes around, we should know a lot about what's going on with Captains of the Gulf, and I can't wait to see that. I also have TC Petty coming in. TC's been on a lot of different shows and podcasts. He's a very interesting designer. We're going to pick his brain, and that brain is way up there, and we'll see if we can bring it into the Gumbo and pick his brain about what games he's looking at. So I'm excited about seeing him coming in. Is Marshall checking in? Yep, that's right. Marshall, come in. Good luck on your game day on Saturday. So what about the games that I've done? Next part I want to talk about. So we're going to keep this moving and keep this pretty short. Oh, one more big announcement for Gumbo Live. Got a possibility of a sponsor. This is not a financial show or anything like that. So, and we're never going to try to compete with any of those other shows where people are full-time creators. This is just a hobby. But it would be cool to be able to give out games. You know, we play games, but it would also be cool to give out games. I've got a line on a sponsor. It's Game Nerds out of Dallas. We've talked about them before. They're willing to put up a game for some of our shows. So I'm just working out the details on how we're going to actually do that. But expect some pretty cool announcements coming up over the next couple of weeks about a contest for Game Nerds. And let's really try to build that up so that we can get Game Nerds excited about the show. Game Nerds, if you do any online ordering, and you live anywhere near Dallas, I mean, within 10 states of there, anywhere near the Mississippi River, Game Nerds is cheap, man. It's like $5 shipping, $75 if on an order, and it's free shipping. And they always have the best prices. I mean, right there with Amazon or beating Amazon, and friendly people to deal with. Game Nerds, got to admit. And you don't have to worry about them sending you fakes. So there's no fake games with Game Nerds because they're getting it directly from the distributors. So I can highly recommend Game Nerds, but enough talk about them. All right, so potential sponsor, some giveaways, all the big guests we got for the season, and then a couple other things I wanted to go over. Hey, what happened at Gen Con? So I was at Gen Con this year working for Gray Fox Games. I was there from the Wednesday to the Saturday. I did as much walking around and talking to people as I could, but I was demoing most of the days. So my time outside of the booths were limited, but I did stop by a couple of different places. The guys from Draft Mechanic and Eric Yurko from Punchboard Media, What's Eric Playing? They were able to go to the Oink booth, which I never was able to make it to, and pick me up a copy. I love little box games. You guys know that if you follow the blog or you watch the show. And I was able to pick up this new game from Oink called Tomato. We've actually played it a couple of times. Not their best game, but I like it a lot. For what it is, it's a great little game. So if you're expecting the depth of a deep sea adventure or the party atmosphere of New York artists, that's the two Oink games that I've played. The fake artist goes to New York. You're not going to get that. But if you're looking for just one of those silly little games to play at the end of the night or while waiting for some people to get there, you're going to get that out of this game. Tomato is very simple. You got the little cards that are going to come out. Each one of those has either tomato, and you're supposed to say it the way the Japanese pronounce it. That's why I'm saying it like that. Or toma, or mato, or any of those little parts of tomato. And you're going to bring these out randomly, and everybody takes a turn saying these phrases. You're rolling this die to determine how many of those cards come out. Some of the cards throw a little kink in it. There's one that has potato in it. There's a few that have reverses on it. If you make a mistake, everyone else gets to point their fingers and grab one of the cards on the table and keep it. So it becomes like a set collection thing. And so it adds a little bit of a gamification to it. But other than that, it's a fun little icebreaker thing for a beer and board games night or end of the night, especially at a con when we're all brain fried. It was hilarious playing. I was playing with Jeremy, the Game Geek Ninja, and the guys from the North Shore. And, I mean, our brains were fried, so we were messing up all the time. All right, there's Chris checking in. Oh, my God, Root is amazing. I missed out on the Kickstarter. I've been trying to find the expansion for sale. Well, Chris, it was at Gen Con. I was able to pick it up from my buddy there, Dave Dugas. I didn't even ask him. Dave said, pick me up, Root. I walked by the booth, and they were selling both. And I was like, hey, he didn't say if he wanted both or not. So I picked them up both. And Dave, you've been happy with it. I know he is because he says Root is fantastic. Root is fantastic. Come on, Dave, check into the broadcast and show off that Root expansion for Chris right now. I'll punch you in if you join in. So that is Tomato. I'm going to rank them. I still like New York Artist best, Deep Sea Adventure next, Tomato third. I've got another 10 or 15 Oink games to go through, so I am not the expert on Oink games, but I do like it. I'm very happy with the purchase. Right before Gen Con, I got mid-delivery came in off the Kickstarter, so we were able to play it at Gen Con. I don't like the base game. Base game, kind of boring. You add the special powers of each player, and you add the road hazards, and that's a fun game. Game only takes 15 or 20 minutes to play, and Justin's got a winner here. This thing I'm going to throw right into my car door, and everywhere we go, if I want to play a little pick up and deliver game, I've got it right there. Mint delivery. I liked it. That's right, Steve. We got a big season 3. I'm expecting big things. Expecting big things out of Steve, the name father, and everybody else that checks in. Can't wait to do that. All right. Third game. I did pick this up. Technically, it's a Gen Con purchase. My buddy Oscar Valero, you remember him from season 1, the Valero boys. Oscar said, hey, man, I know you've been looking for Gone Sean Clever. I've got the French version. Well, Gumbo, that kind of fits, so that's perfect. Très Fouté. I think I pronounced it right. Très Fouté. It's not something I really know, but I'm going to have to ask my mom about that. Sounds like very clever. If you haven't played it, it is absolutely themeless. Zero theme. But as far as roll and writes go, this is one of the best I've played. It is a blast. If you like combo-tastic games, you're going to like Très Fouté or Gone Sean Clever. It has still not been picked up by an American publisher, so you got to try to find it off of Amazon.de or find the French version like I did. Hey, Jay, in regards to your sponsor, I hope you get to the point where you're making tons of money doing this. You definitely deserve something like that. No, Jay, not interested. I like my day job. I love my day job. I do love doing this, and I'm having a blast doing it. But thank you for saying that. Marshall says, hey, he's got the Gone Sean Clever or Clever app, and he's only managed to break 200 once. It's fun and light. Well, that's better than me because when I got the app, I played it the first time without knowing the rules. I scored 60 points. It was terrible. I played it again after Alex Goldsmith kind of texted me some of the rules a little bit, and I scored like 90 points. So I was terrible. But I will say this. I played it in person for my actual first real-time playing with Alex and Danielle and Jake from the Draft Mechanic, and I scored something like 200 and something points, 220 or something like that. So I was very happy with my score. The app is easier, Marshall. The way the app works, it can show you where you can plug in your numbers. And, of course, obviously, if you're not using the app, it's a little bit more difficult because you can't see it. But there's something about the tactile feeling of rolling those dice. And when you get that cool combo, you're like looking at the other players going, oh, I think I'll take the green. Oh, and this green will give me a yellow. And this will give me a fox. And it just – boy, it feels awful like that. I am not a mastermind. I just got lucky and scored 200 watching these other guys do their work. Unless you're talking about Marshall. Thanks, Dave. Steve O'Rourke says, hey, he hasn't played Mint Delivery. I know you got it, but Mintworks is a very clever design. Steve, I'm accused on this show all the time of being Pollyanna because I love all games because I like playing games better than taking out the trash or cutting the grass, right? Okay, I'm not going to apologize for that. But I wasn't a fan of Mintworks. I played it only once. Maybe I need to play it more, but I find it just a little too basic. You're right. The Altoids 10 theme seemed like it was a gimmick, but it's much more than that. I agree. The Mint games are much more than a lot of these other Mint 10 type games, but Mint delivery is more of my style of game. Mint works not so much. All right, 2 more Gen Con things to talk about. Where is Dave Dugas? Dave, you should be in here, Dave. That's all right. So stop by the Mayday booth. I had a meeting with Fabio from CSC Games, Fabio Del Rio. Fabio does the kickoff games, like the LSU kickoff game that I did a review. And he's got a bunch of other games. But Fabio and I had a quick meeting, and he introduced me to the head of Mayday Games, who gave me a copy of a game that Vinny from Dex Envoy, from the Envoy group, had been raving about. He said, hey, this is a fun game. It's got really, if you grew up on Mad Magazine and you like that style art, it's got that zany type of art, which fits the theme of the game. So me and Dave played it. Dave, you're welcome to tell us what you think about it. Bad Doctor. For what it is, okay, it's a 20, 25 minute, 30 minute, little bit of take that, player in action, crazy zany artwork. For what it is, it's a good game, and I enjoyed it. Is it 6 out of 6 on the Ducal scale? No, it's not that. But I'd give it a solid 3 or 4. I would play again if offered, and I enjoyed Bad Doctor. I've got a review coming out about that, so we'll say that. Let's see. Jay Peak, what word was that used to describe loving all games? Oh, maybe I'm using the wrong word, but I've been called a Pollyanna before that, everything is beautiful, everything is great. So I am that. Omni-gamer, yes, I do like all games. I consider myself an evangelizer. That's what me and Jeremy, the Game Geek Ninja, we like to call ourselves. Oh, there's Mark Burke checking in. Hey, we haven't talked to you in a while, Mark. One free elephant will be bringing Microbrew to Kickstarter on September 1st. It's in a mint tin as well, but uses the tin as part of the game. Very clever. Very clever. Interested. We'll have to take a look at that one. Pollyanna and Omni Gamer. That's right. Two words that you can describe for me. I like to play almost all games. I'll even play area control games once or twice. What's the top 3 breakout games you played at Gen Con? And where were you, Gordon Grigg? You're the one who told me about Gen Con. I knew about it since I was a kid, but you're the one who told me people are going back to Gen Con again, and it's getting big. And also any neat miniature games. Hey, Gordon, are you a BSG fan like me? I love BSG. I love Battlestar Galactica, the game and the show. I went to take a look at the miniatures version of Battlestar Galactica. So if you've seen X-Wing, the same guys that kind of pioneered that flight path system with Wings of War and all that other stuff, they've licensed it to this company for Battlestar Galactica. But I didn't see that much different than X-Wing. So, yeah, it was cool seeing the Vipers, but, Gordon, I'll tell you the truth. It wasn't something I really needed to step in. What are the top 3 breakout games? Everywhere. Everywhere you went, we saw Root. Root and its expansion were played constantly. Detective. My number 1 game by far of Gen Con, everywhere. Detective by Portal Games. If you like deduction games even a little, you got to play this game. You're going to love it. It is so far my game of the year. I'm telling you, Detective is that good. Immersive, and just I just couldn't get over. I'm going to cheat on the third one. I'm going to say Champions of Midgard. Yes, I demoed it all day. Yes, it's an older game, but it was on the BGG hotness. A 3-year-old game made the BGG hotness on the day that I was demoing it, and I'd only played it once before the con. So to me, it's kind of a newer game for me. I absolutely loved it. Now, is that a breakout game? Probably not, but boy, we sold a crap ton of those Champions of Midgard with all the stuff. Ludophilia, like a Disney file? So a ludophile? Yeah, I mean, I am a Disney file, so are we a ludophile, ludophilia? Steve O'Rourke with an interesting name there. I like Omni Gamer. That's pretty easy. Yeah, Gordon says never played X-Wing, I guess, but I liked the show. Oh, you're talking about Battlestar Galactica, the game. Yeah. Well, you need to rectify that, Gordon. It's not my favorite game of all time, but Battlestar Galactica, the game, is my single greatest gaming experience of all time. I had an absolute blast, even though I lost. So I was terrible at it. Chris Strain says, at BGG Con, they have badge stickers for Omni Gamers. I always grab one. If I go to BGG Con, I'm going to grab one because I am an Omni Gamer. I play just about anything. Nice. Yeah, thanks, Gordon. Thanks, Gordon. Making a trade for champions as we speak. Good man. If can I put it this way? I like large water deep. Champions kills it. And no, I'm not paid to say that, Gordon. I just got a free badge out of going thing. But is it really free? I worked my butt off with Great Fox Games. I was there all day, it seemed like, for 4 days, man. Or 3 days. No, 4 days, because I was there on Wednesday also setting up. David Miller says, take a look at the Brass sequel and update. Yes, that was another game that was talked about a lot. So, I'm cheating with the Great Fox game, but I'm still trying to think of what that third game would be. Brass sequel was talked about a lot. Let me keep thinking about some of the games. Chris Train says, did you try Rise of Tribes or Expansity? Expansity sold out, so I didn't get to. I walked by Rise of Tribes. I did not get a chance. That was a pretty hot booth. Oh, you know what the third game would be, by the way? Who was it that asked? Was it Jay? The third game, Gordon? Third game would be Villainous by Wonderforge, a Disney game that everybody demoed, everybody played. In terms of talking, the third game would be Keyforge, I think. Keyforge, a unique deck game, a UDG, designed by Richard Garfield from Fantasy Flight. They mentioned it Wednesday night at their Fantasy Flight in-flight report, and it was the talk of the con the rest of the way. If you ever played Magic in the 90s, when it was just a box, and you bought one box, and you played Magic out of that one box, maybe traded a card or two here and there, you played for ante. If you're an old fart like me, and that's the way you grew up on Magic, these UDGs are going to appeal to you because every deck, every single deck, there's like 12 quadrillion decks that can be made. They're all unique to you. They've got a name on the back, and the cards are only yours. Every card back is different. So yeah, that's the ones. No, I didn't get to try Expansity or Rise of Tribes, Chris. I wish I could. Probably had 30 games on my list that I never got to. But I'll tell you, Expansity is on my short list to actually purchase because I did walk by it and see some people playing it. And I've been kind of following a little bit more on some videos, and that looks right up my alley. Steve says, Steph's latest blogs, including a brief, very positive review of Expansity, and her pictures of it really make it pop. If you want to see some good pictures also, I haven't seen those, and I'm sure you're right. If you want to see some, check out Eric Yurko's What's Eric Playing on Twitter and on BGG. That guy's got some great, I'm salivating seeing those pictures of Expansity. So I can't wait to try it. Hey, there's Bradley checking in. The guy who I shopped for like 3 days at Gen Con did bring back. So, by the way, I brought this poster back for him. Look how good this poster looks, Bradley. Look at this. It looks amazing. You were so worried about it because it had 1 or 2 tiny little bumps in it from the flight. It looks great on my wall. I love it. My New York 1901 got destroyed, so I get to use this one instead. So the Gumbo has a copy of Rise of Tribes coming hopefully soon. Very good. I will tell you this, Chris, Bradley, I know nothing about Rise of Tribes other than seeing it for a second. That's it. Yeah, I agree. Marshall Expansity does look interesting. I tell you, I can't wait. I'm agreeing with you and Chris. The 3D pieces that we have for New York 1901 that I use as my backdrop over here. So if you can see those. So I love playing with these 3D pieces. I had somebody make these for me. And then when I saw Expansity, instead of just 4 legendary buildings, that's Chenier LaSalle's dream. He always wanted somebody to 3D building the entire game. And I think one person has done it, but I don't even think Chenier has and that's the designer, New York 1901. I don't even think Chenier has a copy of the whole thing blinged out. But wouldn't it be cool to see a game like that does that? We should just get together and play some games soon. I have Rise of Tribes I can play with you. Well, I agree, Dave. I wish I could go. I wish I'd have some family stuff to do Saturday. I'd go meet you guys Saturday and play. By the way, another plug, Sinlock Gamers this Saturday. Chris Strain, you're in Houston. Drive right over to Alexandria. You got a game day from 12 o'clock till 9 o'clock. You can play any of these games. So wait, Chris, you made the pieces for Rise of Tribes or for New York 1901? Clarify yourself. I want to know what you're talking about. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's wait, I missed that comment there. That is Steve O'Rourke. That's right. I've got a little art collection there. That's thank yous to the name father over there. That is a little picture of Karub, if I remember right. Steve won in an auction and donated to the Gumbo for our backdrop. So thank you. No, it does not. Bradley says the poster looks like it went through the washing machine when he showed up with it. Oh, when I showed up with it. But what about now, Bradley? Look at this. Can you tell anything? No, it looks awesome. So yes, I'm very excited to have. That is Isaac Childress's signature. Right over there in this corner. I don't know if you can see that on the Gumbo. Right over there. So I was at Gen Con, and if you get to go to Gen Con next year, if anybody goes, make sure you sign up for the rolling dice and taking names gladiators in an arena / dice in a bowl championship. The guys always joke about whether strike should be called just dice in a bowl or gladiators in arena, and they have a big contest and everybody gets to play. Well, this year they moved it to the old spaghetti factory. For $10, you got this awesome meal with lasagna and a dessert and bread and drinks and a salad. You got to play strike with a bunch of people, podcasters, publishers. Rodney Smith was there. The draft mechanic guys were there. Alex Goldsmith was there. There's tons of people there. They give out tons of free games and even a little ditty bag for us, a really nice ditty bag from Miniature Market, their sponsor. But also Isaac was there. He made it to the finals, and he was signing these Dark Tower posters. So that was really pretty cool. Chris Strain was involved in both of those games, Expansity and Rise of Tribes. All right, well, kudos, Chris. You have got the eye, man. By the way, if anybody doesn't recognize it, Chris is the designer and graphic designer and everything on Asking for Troubles. So, yep, that's right, Steve. Karuba it is. Rise of Tribes pieces are really nice, outstanding work. Yeah, hey, Chris. Hey, Chris. I want you to commit tonight. We've got our big convention, which is on my list to talk about, so I might as well just kind of slide that in. We got the big convention, the Southern Board Game Fest, which is coming up March 30th. It's at the University of Louisiana. We sold 180 tickets last year. We're going to double that this year. We're trying to get to 350 or 400. We want to sell the whole place out. We're going to take over the entire student union, which is brand new, $1 million student union. It's gorgeous, plenty of tables. I'm challenging you. Chris Strain, come down with some of those games you got, show off some of those, and let us talk to you about them. So I got to meet Chris at Gen Con, and you guys would like meeting with Chris. What does Chris say? Thanks. Honestly, wood bits are easier than 3D buildings. That's right. All right, so Bradley and I got to try this weekend out. This is the last one I want to show you. This is my pride and joy. Okay, so I don't normally spend this kind of money on a game. Coimbra was $70 at Gen Con. And I know all of you out there are going, oh, wow, you could have waited and got it for $30 or $40 on the internet. It is sold out twice at Origins and at Gen Con. It's a game that's right up my alley. It's that 90-minute Euro, one I'm especially terrible at, but because it does have the efficiency. But it is gorgeous. My family's from Portugal. I'm fascinated with Portugal and Spain and Italy. So anytime I see this, and then I saw the art, it didn't look that great on BGG. It's one of those games where you got to see the art for yourself. I'm telling you, the art is fantastic. It's kind of got this Mary Blairish thing going. The colors pop. The game board pops. They finally decided that a Euro doesn't have to look like Castles of Burgundy. This is what Castles of Burgundy would look like if Beth Sobel or Kwanchai Moria or somebody with some talent came in. Not the Burgundy guys, not talented. I don't mean that, but somebody that with some vision and said, let's make this thing pop. Euros don't have to look boring. This one is neither looks boring or plays boring. We got to try a Coimbra this weekend. I only got it because I had set myself a budget and I was able to get a couple of games for a lot cheaper than I expected. You know, didn't have to pay $30 or $40 for Ganshan Clever. My buddy Oscar gave it to me for a good deal. I was able to get in good with the Oink games. Got a couple of review copies that were able to lower my budget. So I just kind of chunked that money over to Coimbra and brought it back. And I am very happy at it. Yeah, so Coimbra. Chris, Bradley, I think will back me up. If you take the gameplay of Orleans without the bag building, but the way that the pieces move around and get benefits and sort of control your progress on that side of the board, and you smash that up with the card play and the tracks. I mean, these designers, Virginio Gigli and Flaminia Brasini, they were involved in Lorenzo, along with that other design team, other members of the design team from Italy. You can tell the influence is there. It's got the tracks and it's got the different one, but it's much, much more forgiving than Lorenzo. you're not sweating. You almost feel more like you're playing a positive game rather than playing the negative game that Lorenzo is. But if you take the fun elements of Lorenzo and the fun elements of Orleans and you smash them together, you've got Coimbra. I mean, Bradley, hopefully you can back me up on that. But that's what I see when I see this game. Coimbra and is Orleans and Lorenzo, the best of both worlds smashed together. It's another Eggertspiele hit. I mean, Eggertspiele just puts out good quality stuff with good productions. They are always on my list whenever I'm looking for a good Euro. Well, good. Chris Train says he loves Orleans and he is sold. All right, so that's my Gen Con wrap-up. That's what I brought back from Gen Con. That does not include bringing back Root for Dave and some stuff for Bradley. I brought back some stuff for Dustin. And then I've got some stuff coming from Great Fox Game and a couple other companies. So hopefully I'll have some more goodies to show. Steve says, Chris Williams' art on Coimbra. He also did the art on Azul. Now, I didn't know that. So thanks. I'd never heard of Chris Williams' name before. And I'm in love with this art. So thank you for tipping me off on that, Steve. I did not know that. All right, so last thing to talk about, Con Travels this year. Oh, no, one last thing. Keyforge. Is anybody else excited about Keyforge as much as I am? I got to watch a couple of people play it, and for a guy that doesn't have time to deck build anymore, I'm excited about it. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. Maybe post something on Board Game Gumbo after the show or on Twitter if you are excited about what I described with Keyforge. No, it's horrible. You should send me your copy. No, we're not sending you a copy. That's right. Nope, it's not happening. You're not getting a copy of Coimbra and you're not getting a copy of Keyforge, but I would like to get that, Bradley. So Bradley says he's joking. He loves Coimbra when we played it the other night, and he stomped us too, by the way. 200 points. Wow, that was a tough one. All right, so Con Travels this year. I am hoping to go to BGG. Still waiting on word from my wife. She may have a conference that week. If she does, then I'll be able to go to BGG. And then the big one in the spring on March 30th, we've got Southern Board Game Fest, an all-day fest. We're going to have games there. We're going to have some more booths there. We're going to have demos. We've got a couple of crazy ideas for some events. So if you can make it, Southern Board Game Fest, we'll start selling those tickets probably in a couple of months. So look out for those because I'm telling you, sold out last year. It's going to sell out again this year. And it's a short drive from Houston or from Mississippi or Shreveport or Arkansas, right down the road right here in Louisiana, so in Lafayette. We'll have some great food. Waiter is one of the presenting sponsors, so you're not going to have to worry about food. It's going to be awesome. All right, Board Gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live, really the preview episode for Season 3. Don't forget about our special guests that are coming up. We've got a bunch of them next week. The man myth himself. We've got Chris Ray from the Opinionated Gamers. He is always one of the top asks. People always want to know when he's coming back. Well, it's next week. He's doing his big, giant post-Gen Con Chris Spectacular. It's going to be Chris goes to every booth, sees every game, brings back anywhere from 30 to 40 games, and he's probably already played most of them in only 2 weeks. So when we get to see him on Tuesday, if you've got questions about games, he's going to tell you. He'll have played them. Now, probably not. Don't ask him about dungeon crawlers, but if you want to know about Euros or any other games, we're going to do that. That's right, Bradley. We've got fried crawfish and fried shrimp po' boys. So make sure you come to the Southern Board Game Fest. That's going to be awesome. So Chris Ray next week. Following week, Steph Hodges, Jesse and Melissa, and probably Ronald from iHeart Board Games, and then Randy Hott from Foxtrot Games. Oh, Steven, that's somebody you're going to want to talk to. Randy is the owner of Foxtrot. That's the company that put out Spy Club. I didn't get to play Spy Club, but man, that is another game at Gen Con that a lot of people were talking about. I mean, a lot of people were raving about Spy Club. So I want to hear from Randy, and that is going to be coming up. That's the guest for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Make sure you like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo. It helps us to get the word out about all of our upcoming guests and our shows. And until we see next week with Chris Ray from the Opinionated Gamers on Board Game Gumbo Live, I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. Laissez le bon temps rouler.